Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for, well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Hope everyone had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. And we were there thanking for the men and women who keep our country safe. And there couldn't be a more incredible reason to celebrate them and their service to this country. Right, Sheriff?
You bet. And their families are in our prayers always as they paid the ultimate sacrifice. So God bless them all on Memorial Day.
Thank you so much for that. My name is Terrence Wall. I'm the co-founder of the Monmouth ChamberCast we hold here in Bell Works. I want to thank everyone for being here today. The Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, they host about 10 events a month. That is not even including their signature events like the Beacon Awards and Athena. And Therese here is also able to discuss the chamber membership and other ways that you can be involved with the ChamberCast. And also during the podcast and afterwards, take a look at the board. We have so many fantastic sponsors that are involved as chamber members. And so you can also get yourself involved in everything that they're doing. So we have a very special guest today, the Monmouth County Sheriff Shaun Golden. We're going to be talking about a number of very, very key issues. And it's all about safety and all about the work that's done to make Monmouth County the safest place to live, work, and raise a family. And we're going to get started in a moment so folks can go around the room and you can share who you are. You have business leaders in this room, entrepreneurs, business owners, and folks that are also involved in the public space and also private sector that also volunteer for the nonprofit community as well. So if we can do that, Jeannie, if we can go around the room, that would be great.
We're just going to say our name and what organization we're with.
Okay, so I guess I'm starting this off. Eric Johnson. I started a real estate investment company, Elevation Equities, where we do multifamily syndications, and I'm a real estate agent for Compass.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Morning, I'm Issa Bengura, co-owner of Replacement Home in Eatontown in Home Care Services.
Hi, I'm Connor Przlomski. I'm the Marketing Communications Specialist for the Monmouth Regional Chamber.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Therese Rolke. I'm the Executive Director of the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Thank you. Everyone give it up for Ming.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ming from a Shared Universe podcast.
Good morning, I'm Tara Demyanovich. I work for Community Affairs and Resource Center. It's a local nonprofit, and I also own a business in Holmdel called Outside the Box Gift Baskets. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kara Badger. I work for Northeast Financial Network here in Bell Works, and we do financial planning services.
Hi, I'm Elena Wharton, and I'm a freelance writer at Tap Into.
Hi, my name's Paul, and I'm from T Marketing, located here in Holmdel.
Good morning, everybody. Carolyn Burtnick, Monmouth County Tourism.
Good morning, everyone. Jared Logan with Go for Hire. We offer staffing and career services for local professionals and job seekers.
Hello, I'm Sabina Carabelli. I'm a student at Rider University, and I'm an intern with Go for Hire.
Good morning. My name is Emily Yee. I am a senior at Holmdel High School, and I intern in Bell Works for a company called Data Pros.
Hi, my name is Crystal Mulvey. I'm a senior in Holmdel High School. Thank you for inviting us.
Yes. We love that you're here.
Good morning. My name is Frank Papalia. I am the school safety specialist for the Holmdel Township Schools.
Hi, good morning. I'm Elliot Cohen, the internship coordinator here at Holmdel Township Public Schools.
Oh, I'm Matthew Murata. I'm a junior in Holmdel High School and going to be doing an internship with Holmdel Police Department.
Woo! That's great.
Hi, good morning. My name is Teresa Marsh. I work in marketing at CSAV Systems in Colts Neck.
Good morning. Glenn DeLakian. I'm the president of CSAV Systems. We're in Colts Neck. We install commercial sound and video systems in any business application.
Good morning. I'm Michael Viola. I serve on the Colts Neck Township Committee.
Hi, I'm Marcy McMullen, and we own a consulting firm that has programmers, analysts, and system managers.
My name is Chong-In Liu. I'm the chairperson for Holmdel Heritage Committee, and I'm also the president of Shore Music Educator Association. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Angela Ashley. I'm with the Jewish Home for Rehabilitation in Freehold, New Jersey.
And you are?
I'm Teddy, and I'm in 6th grade in Indian Hill.
Thank you. And I'm Jeannie Wall, and I'm the owner of Hometown News Publishing for Tap Into in Monmouth County. Did I miss anybody? Great. And I also wanted to thank Hot Bagels, Pete and Lorraine Cohen. They had to leave, but they donated the food in the back. Please grab a cup of hot coffee and one of their treats. Thanks.
And you are?
Oh, I introduced myself. I said, but we have to talk about the sponsor.
We are going to talk about the sponsor. Bill Bolio and Bolio, home of companies is Woolley Bolio Funeral Home in Long Branch and also Holmdel Funeral Home. Bill Bolio and his family have been part of the community for so long and have done so much to improve Monmouth County. And we want to thank them for all the work that they do and to thank them for being the sponsor today. Because without sponsors, this kind of programming is impossible. It's volunteer, and it's all about getting information and that's actionable for you, your families, and your businesses. And that's what we're going to do in the next 45 minutes. We're going to dive into some very critical information that you can use in the schools, in your homes, in your businesses, and with your friends and family and peers. We're diving into, primarily it's going to be today, we're going to be talking about MedStar that you're going to hear about in a moment. And we're going to be hearing from a leader, Shaun Golden. And leadership is not the day-to-day, the fireworks of everything that's going on and folks telling people what they did today and what they're doing tomorrow and all these kinds of things. It's that steady, silent leadership, that strength that's every single day that makes the world a better place. And so you're going to hear a little bit more about the role of the sheriff and how much more it really comprises than perhaps that you're even thinking about. Sheriff Golden is the 76th Sheriff of Monmouth County. He's the Chief Executive of the agency that has 4 divisions: law enforcement, corrections, communications, and special operations. Also involved in running the Monmouth County Fire Academy, the Monmouth County Police Academy, and the Office of Emergency Management. There is an incredible wide berth of work and work product that's on behalf of all the families that are here in Monmouth County and in the region itself, because shared services and cooperation is critical throughout the region, throughout the state, and throughout the country, really. Throughout the years under Sheriff Golden's leadership, his office has developed innovative programs and partnerships. Some are the Citizens Police Academy, volunteers in sheriff community programs, Sheriff's Youth Week, child and senior identity programs. And we're going to talk a little bit today about their programs for children with autism and also folks with dementia-related issues and their life safety needs and how important their work is in that space. A program called Register Ready, Know Your Zone, distracted driving. The list goes on and on and on. But we're going to tie into MedStar today. In 2023, there were 60,000 calls for service for EMS, 60,000 in Monmouth County alone. And one of the areas that the sheriff is tackling is out of 21 counties, they want to drive the response times to be faster, more efficient, working in partnership with the volunteer organizations, working in partnership with the men and women who volunteer to make their communities great. So right now we're 19th, and when those stats come out, the idea is to see those results. So what I'd like to do, if we can, is start right off with this incredible program that was launched in February called MedStar. Sheriff, can you share with the folks that program, its origin, what inspired it?
So first, Terrence, thank you for having me on, and I want to thank the Monmouth Chamber and all of the business associates. Monmouth County is very fortunate. We have some of the greatest small businesses in the state of New Jersey, small, medium, large, no matter what. The chamber and multiple chambers around the county are so engaged, and that's what is really the fabric of what makes Monmouth County work, right? And I want to thank you for putting it together. So the MedStar program is our emergency medical services program out of the county sheriff's office. And here was the genesis. Essentially, you had led into it. We in Monmouth County had the 19th worst response times on average in the state of New Jersey, right, out of 21 counties. So that's not a great record to have. And certainly our county commissioners recognize that our volunteers need help. I was a volunteer first aider in Colts Neck. You were a volunteer first aider, and I was a medic for Monarch for quite a few years. So being familiar with the EMS and how challenged it is in this day and age. Listen, we all know we have 2 partners working on the family range, right? Between sports, working, raising a family, working in your businesses, it becomes harder and harder to keep up with the training requirements that are EMT and then the continuing education units that go along with it every year. And so as much as our volunteer squads in every municipality really try to answer the call, and they do so with a tremendous amount of commitment, energy like I've never seen, and it's fascinating to watch them work. But there are times where they just are not available to answer the call, and then that leads to mutual aid, which is, i.e. if Colts Neck can't answer a call, it goes to Holmdel or a neighbor in town, and now that squad is kind of out of range, right? So the county commissioners decided to invest in the MedStar program, which is allowing us to put ambulances in key locations where those response times were down, and to make sure we have a paid service that is, again, rapid response. And so far, so good. I mean, we only started in February. To date, we've answered over 1,200 calls. We're only in the central region of the county, which is everything from Red Bank into Ocean and from Colts Neck out to Long Branch to the water. And so we're only in that central region right now with our staff and our ambulances. It will expand. We can get into that in a little bit, but it's tremendous. Our response times are under 6 minutes. On average, over 1,200 calls, and it's showing. Some results are showing.
And let's talk about response times for a moment, because time is tissue, they say, and time is critically important. So when your work, you're also a police officer in Colts Neck, a police officer in Toms River. When the officers arrive, oftentimes they're now the first responders. I remember when I was a volunteer with Plectron System, we needed to get down to 1861 at a certain period of time.
Same thing.
But and now the officers typically have the jump kits, the AEDs. How has that evolved over time?
So the officers, I will tell you, Monmouth County, we like to push the envelope, and we like to be a first in a lot. And we were one of the first counties to put defibrillators in the back of police cars, and that's a testament to our good friend Jim Schatzel, Team Life. Jim trained me as a paramedic and EMT back in the day, but he really made this push to say, hey, let's get these defibs in the officers' hands, right? The first aiders are volunteers. They got to go to the squad house. Then they get to the address, and it's just not quick enough, right? And so you're right, time is tissue in that respect. So there was a big push to put defibrillators in all the police cars so that the arriving law enforcement officer has that defibrillator, has that jump kit. And another first was when Prosecutor Grimiccioni and I decided to petition the state for a pilot program for Narcan in the police cars, right? Because officers didn't carry Narcan. So we've been on that pilot program, but we've been on that program now. We were one of the first in the state to have law enforcement officers carry Narcan kits with those defibrillators. And certainly we've saved a lot of lives. I will tell you, last year we had over 184 Narcan saves in the county. And it makes a difference. So we'll continue that path, if you will, of servicing the public, particularly when it comes to emergency medical calls. And that's what we're doing with the MedStar program.
Well, and while you're on that topic, your work in the substance use issue is also well known in the community. Can you share what you're seeing on the front of fentanyl and the dangers, and what's even coming up now, that so parents, businesses, children can be aware of what's in the schools and what kind of work involves your offices and the folks that you partner with?
So we had the dubious distinction, along with Ocean County, of being one of the highest overdose rates in the state of New Jersey, right? And here's why. I always tell this to parents. Are you aware of your young adults' surroundings and what you do, right? So think about this. Your son or daughter asked for $20 going out the door today. Yeah. Do you know what they're doing with it? Right?
I want to say pliables, but
and you have to engage. You have to engage in that. Here's the things that you can do. Prescription medications. They're one of the biggest leading factor into drug addiction, right? Studies have shown this. More than 75% of those who are with substance use disorder are leaned on some type of prescription drug. So if any messages come out today to parents out there, please remove the unused medications from your drawers and your cabinets, right? Now, we do this awareness campaign twice a year to empty out the drawers and cabinets with unused medication, prescription medications. You can do it any day of the year. Multiple law enforcement police departments have drop boxes. We have a drop box in the sheriff's office in the lobby, 2500 Kozlowski Road, always open. Bring it over, drop them in there, and we'll dispose of it with the DEA properly, the Drug Enforcement Agency. That is the number one step you can take because, again, over 75% of those afflicted with addiction start with some type of prescription medication. So that's number one. Number two is parents need to be aware of the fact that fentanyl is out there. It is pouring across our border as we speak, right? It has synthesized. It's become more synthetic. It's becoming somewhat, some variations are contra to the Narcan deployment, right? And that's going to become very dangerous as synthetics continue to grow.
Hard to bring folks back.
It's hard to
right?
bring them back. It's taken 2 or 3 doses of Narcan to bring them back. So you have to be aware of the surroundings that your young adults are in. Listen, this is an age group of 16 to 24, maybe up to 30, but that is that's really the target, right? When you look at all our overdoses, we had over 800 last year in the county. That is the age range of those that are afflicted with addiction and those that have overdoses. Now, I will say this, and I always kind of challenge our legislators. There is a loophole in the system, right? We do Narcan deployments, and then we're supposed to leave, some type of informational pamphlet for somebody at their place of, because they refuse treatment, right? When you wake somebody up from Narcan and from an overdose, they're afflicted, right? They have a substance use disorder. They're going to go back to it again. We're just not breaking the cycle, right? I call it. And to break the cycle, you need to have some intervention. You need to have an intervention team, or you have to treat that person like we do with mental illness. If someone calls 911 and says, I want to harm myself, there's a whole psych team that comes out and does an evaluation, right? And whether you want to go to the hospital or not, if the evaluation team determines it so, you're often run into the hospital, right? Whether you want to or not. And I think some of that has to occur. We've gotten to the point where, we'll Narcan them and bring them back. They'll refuse medical treatment, and we leave the residents or the business, and only for them to do it again, right? So there is a gap there that needs to be filled, and it needs to be filled legislatively. We need to treat that as if that person called 911 to harm themselves, right? I think that would go a long way. So. But when it comes to Monmouth County and law enforcement and EMS, again, we were the first with prescription drop boxes, first with Narcan in the law enforcement cars, and we'll continue to push that envelope as far as we can.
And it's all about communications, right? Which is part of the reason we're here today. Now, you were, if I recall correctly, undersheriff managing the communications IT.
I was, yeah. That's how I started. It's crazy.
Well, can we bring it back to where we're at today as far as, because folks, it's somewhat nebulous. If they're fortunate, they don't need to call 911. If they're fortunate, they don't need to be pondering how many minutes it takes, because a minute feels like an hour. But that ties back to MedStar and cutting down those times. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening, how 911 has evolved over time, and how you're overlaying your work throughout Monmouth County to interact with the different municipalities to create those faster start times?
So we operate the largest 911 center in the state of New Jersey. We have over 130 911 operators back in Freehold. If you were to dial 911 right now from here, you would hit our communications center in Freehold. And again, those are really specialized individuals. I got to tell you, the training that they do and the calmness that they have when there's really frantic calls on the other side of the line is amazing to hear. I get to review some of the audio tapes. And
what's the mix of calls these days?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's last year we did 780,000 calls in the 911 center. 380.
Sorry, 700.
Well, 780,000 calls
Okay.
for service. 380,000 or 382,000 were 911 calls, actual 911 calls.
Are you hearing
And-
the numbers?
Yeah, so that's 380,000 plus 911 calls that come into that center every year. And it's amazing how they process these calls in just moments. And listen, tech has helped. When you dial 911, everybody has their location services on for 911. We get a pinpoint location now, and we're going to 911i, which is, first it's Rapid SOS, which allows us to pinpoint and track that cell phone. So even if you're driving on the parkway, you call 911, it GPSes your location, and then it starts following you. If you kept driving on the parkway, we can track that 911 caller. The next is 911. We did text to 911 a while back, so you can certainly text 911, and that pops up on the screen. But this whole 911 system with next generation, which is due at the end of 25, will be a little bit more interactive. And when I say that, the operator is essentially going to say, hey, we want to see video from you. Of course, there's a consent issue there, and there's an evidentiary issue. But you'll get a message back saying, do you want to send video or pictures? And you just click yes, and it'll open up your camera, and you'll be witness to a lot of what they're gonna, you'll be streaming back that video just like we do on FaceTime and all those kind of things, back to the 911 center. And then obviously that all, depending on what the case is, that will all have to be archived into evidence. So you can imagine the data center now with body-worn cameras, in-car video, some of the street cameras that we have, plate readers, the IT portion of our 911 center in the sheriff's office in the county is something to see. And we have an IT staff that just maintains all that data that comes in.
Terabytes and terabytes.
It's just the plate reader alone is over 400 terabits.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The how has or not has the AI landscape impacted efficiencies or other different technologies within the sheriff's office?
So one of those things, I mentioned the calls for service. One of the emergent technologies that we're looking at in the 911 center are those non-emergency calls, right? How do we handle the non-emergency calls instead of tying up an operator? How do we use AI? We're experimenting with Amazon GovCloud and their AI answering system, and I think that's a system that we'll see deployed in the future. Whereas, let's say a town is having a fireworks display, and we get all kinds of calls, right? So we'll get calls. Hey, what time do the lifeguards come on duty? What time are the fireworks? This 4th of July in some town, right? AI will allow us to spin all that messaging up and be answered by the technical folks at Amazon, as opposed to the operators trying to repeat the time and messaging of a particular event, right?
So it's almost like capturing efficiencies, micro efficiencies in different places.
Correct. Yeah. Eventually, it'll detect like, hey, we've just gotten 10 calls for fireworks. We're gonna kick in this messaging for fireworks in that particular town, and everything that involves fireworks will end up over here in that phone call.
Now part of your work and passion is the work on behalf of veterans. We just came through, obviously, in a very important weekend, important Memorial Day. How has the emergency services been impacted with the Greatest Generation and the folks and the specific services that they may require out of the sheriff's office?
So I got to tell you, first, thank you to any veterans out here or family members that have veterans serving. God bless you all. Give them a round of applause. I mean, that's. So the veterans, we have a Veterans Service Council inside the sheriff's office, and it has grown quite a bit. It is, we're probably one of the only sheriff's office that has a veterans liaison on staff. He's a part-time individual, former Air Force, retired. Mike Ferrara, he does a tremendous job. He's been my veterans liaison now for quite a while. Here's what happened. There's two things that was the genesis behind this Veterans Service Council. One was Superstorm Sandy. When Sandy hit, as you know, just a tremendous storm that hit our coast and really challenged our emergency management services on the local level and the county level. But we had so many veterans call up and say, how can we help? You know, and I said, we have to harness this sense of volunteerism with former veterans that come and help us out. I mean, who better to take orders than, those that served in the military? And all of a sudden we say, hey, we want to do this distribution center at this location. They're on it, right? We want to do storm damage assessment. We trained them all on iPads to do storm damage assessment. So if forbid, a tornado rips through here, we would have them on the ground doing storm damage assessment on iPads. So from a logistics standpoint and volunteering standpoint with emergency management, they become like a force multiplier for us, right, on a volunteer level. And that was one of the genesis. The other was I have over 700 dedicated men and women in the sheriff's office in those 4 divisions you talked about. And they do a tremendous job. Each one of those divisions are 24/7. They never stop. It never stops. Like,
can you share a little bit about the divisions so
will,
folks
I
understand?
will.
Yeah.
But more importantly, though, within the 700, I had at the time 82 active guard and reserve. Active guard and reserve on staff. And at that time, I had over 12 on deployment. And I said, well, how are we going to take care of their families when they're on deployment, right? And so that's Mike's job. Mike's job is to check in with the family members. You know, they have a broken dryer or washer machine at home. We're going to replace it, right? We're going to make sure that we take care of our employees that are deployed and their families, right, while they're overseas. And so that is Mike's primary job. I have 5 on deployment right now, 4 in Syria. And Mike's job is to stay in touch with their family and make sure that we are doing everything they can if they need something done at the home front because their loved one is overseas serving. We're going to take care of it.
That's incredible. Incredible, folks, isn't it?
So,
are you noticing that the sheriff's office, the definition has been completely broadened through your work?
So I'll talk about the 4 divisions. The one core division, by the way, the sheriff is historically the oldest law enforcement position around. And when I say that, it dates back thousands of years. It goes back to the Shire, who was the tax collector and the jailer for the monarchy, right? And still today, tax collection and the jail are prevalent in sheriff's offices throughout the United States. There's over 3,000 counties, and each county has a county sheriff. And we're the oldest law enforcement position here in Monmouth County. Dates back to 1680s.
But he's not the oldest sheriff.
No, I'm not the oldest one. No. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know the first sheriff's office was over in Middletown Township, and eventually the jail was moved to the Hall of Records that you currently see, the Hall of Records in downtown Freehold. In the sub-basement downstairs was one of the original jails for the county. Now, we have a much larger jail. I don't want to see any of you in there, but it is one of the divisions. So that core function of the sheriff still exists today as the jailer. We call it a correctional institution. It's our correctional division, and here's why. We want to help those that want to help themselves, right, and become a productive member. Now, in our correctional division, that's why we call it. It's not a prison, right? These are individuals that are awaiting trial. Now, if they did something really bad, then they will get sentenced to state prison and off they go. But those that have a second chance, as we'll call it, right, if they're going to spend a year or less in jail, are supposed to be in my correctional facility, right? So what do we do with them? If they're sentenced to 2 months or 12 months, doesn't make a difference. Do they have a high school or college, right? We're going to make sure they have a GED. In fact, I have a GED graduation coming up this week for several of the inmates. We partner with Monmouth Ocean Educational Service, make sure we have an outside educational component inside that facility, right? That's number one. Number 2 is obviously what we alluded to. If they're afflicted with addiction, we were the first, thanks to Congressman Chris Smith, and a federal grant of $1.4 million. We were the first county correctional institution in the state of New Jersey to have medically assisted treatment. It's called a MAP program. And what that does is that allows our medical team inside the facility to put them on, those afflicted with addiction, on a treatment modality. Usually it was otherwise known as methadone, but it's not methadone anymore. We use Suboxone and a couple of other modern day formulas for treatment. And then we partnered with Governor McGreevey and the Reentry Corp for reentry services, which occurs every day at about 11 o'clock. We look at all our discharges from the correctional facility, and we make sure that they have a pipeline, because we want Governor McGreevey's Reentry Corp to do a couple things, right? We want to make sure they either continue in education or have job placement over there. That's important. If they're on a medically assisted treatment, we want them to continue that modality, right? Because we don't want to see them back, and we want to try to break that cycle of addiction. And that Reentry Corp does a lot of those programs. So whether it's driver's license restoration, resume writing and job placement, medically assisted treatment, and addiction services, that's all kind of a one-stop shop for us, and we want to give those a chance. We do not want to see those individuals back in our correctional facility. It's a tremendous cost to the taxpayers, and we don't want to see that. We want to try to keep those numbers low in the correctional division. And that's just one of the 4 divisions that we talked about.
Well, and education is a key component of it, sounds like, based on what you're saying, right?
Certainly
and,
is.
No stranger to education. He's fellow graduate of Brookdale, but then master's in Seton Hall University. No, bachelor's.
No, bachelor's from Monmouth U and master's from Seton Hall
University.
And a professor over at Monmouth U for 18 years. Go Hawks.
Yeah, certified public manager, and also attended the prestigious Mid-Atlantic Law Enforcement Executive Development Seminar. So it's a broad swath of talents that are put to bear for this for all of the families in Monmouth County. And so then you may wonder, well, how do you gauge the success of an organization? How do you tell all of these fantastic things that we're going to get into more in a moment? How does one know the quality of it? Well, there are accreditation programs. There's a New Jersey Chiefs Association, and there's a very strict CALIA certification.
National,
so can you share for folks that are saying, well, give me a little bit of backdrop of the Monmouth County Sheriff Office and the organization. What do
those in the medical field, particularly with hospital associations or the educational institutions, they'll know about national accreditation, right? So this is a group of your peers coming in to oversee all your policy and procedures, to speak with your staff, to see how you deploy those policy and procedures, and are you acting on those, and you're keeping them up to date, and that they're deploying those. And finally, the inspection process. Now, we just had the national accreditation inspectors in about a month ago, and we had them in for communications, law enforcement, and our police academy, our training center. Needless to say, we just got the report back about a week ago. We're once again be nationally accredited in all 3 of those. My corrections and correctional health care are accredited. We're the only 5-star nationally accredited agency in the state of New Jersey. We hold the only training center accreditation outside of the state police out of the other county academies, and we hold the only communications center accreditation. So that will give you the level of expertise and performance every day that you know. And I think that showed when the accreditation inspectors come in. They constantly rip through the files on a monthly basis now because it's all electronic. They used to come and spend a lot of time on files, right, and policies and procedures. Now they spend a lot of time on engaging our partners that you mentioned, all our law enforcement agencies, our 47 police departments, engaging our volunteer fire departments and first aid squads. They want to engage them and see how our 911 operators are doing in performance. Same thing on the law enforcement, and then same thing on the training side. What is remarkable about the training center now and how far that's come, a police academy which I graduated from, I'll say a short time ago, but it was a little while back when I started in Colts Neck Police Department. The training center, that too has become interactive, right? In a post-Floyd era, and with all the other changes and directives that have come down from the Attorney General's office, we got to meet those challenges, right? So how do you meet them? The county commissioners built a state-of-the-art, what we call STARS facility. It's a situational training center, and it allows immersive training for not just police recruits, but for law enforcement officers to come back in an annual basis and engage in that training, right? So there's a couple of components. It's a training simulator. Some of it's set up like a school, right? Because we know the story about tragic school shootings around the country, and so that part is training. Some of it's set up like a correctional pod, and then the other side of the training facility is virtual. It puts you. We're only one of 2 virtual machines in the state of New Jersey. This is for my younger generation Xbox and PlayStation fans out there. This is pretty much Xbox on steroids. It is a 300-degree IMAX theater. It would fill half of this space right here. Wow. And it is all computer-driven on scenarios. It's over 700-plus scenarios. There are thousands of outcomes of those scenarios, but it all is dictated by the officers' action and reactions on how they interact with those scenarios, and whether they use the proper what we call verbal judo, whether they use voice commands, whether they use the de-escalation techniques that we've been teaching them in the academy, and that either cascades in a bad way or it cascades and ends in a positive outcome, right? So that's how we do training in that facility. But again, nationally accredited, and we're really proud of the entire staff of the police academy and the communications and law enforcement divisions that did all the national accreditation.
Well, I'd say congratulations, right? Congratulations on that, and really, and thank you, because those extra efforts show. You're beginning to see so many different things that are within the office. We're going to even go further as we bring it back to MedStar before we open it up to a couple questions. You mentioned school, you mentioned education earlier. There are also areas where the sheriff's office gets involved in the schools, and also particularly with children with autism, and that also dovetails with folks, whether it's veterans or other folks, that on the technology side for location and that kind of thing. Can you speak to that a little bit? And then I want to chat with you about other very important
we just
issues.
had our autism seminar, and it was a tremendous success. A lot of law enforcement partners, a lot of nonprofit organization partners in the room. Here's a couple of things that we pride ourselves here in Monmouth County, and I think what separates ourselves from the rest. We were one of the first to put autism training inside the police academy for recruits. Now, the Police Training Commission has a block of training that was 22 weeks. Now it's a little bit longer for law enforcement recruits. And so to jam a 4-hour block of autism training and how to recognize those with special needs and how to interact with those with special needs was a little bit contentious, because again, I'm trying to add additional hours into what is pretty rigid schedule for law enforcement training, and it's not me, it's the state of New Jersey that regulates all that, right? So I was told, no, we can't do it. I said, well, we're doing it, right? I said, we're not having officers go out there and not have the ability to recognize those that are special needs, particularly, as you know, some of that can mimic, and they end up into being physical encounters that don't need to be physical encounters. Again, with de-escalation techniques and recognition, we have positive outcomes, and so we then trained all our officers in the police academy. Then we took it to the fire academy. Then we took it to in-service training, meaning those returning law enforcement officers, when they go for their in-service training every year, have a block of instruction. And then our 911 operators had to interact with the family on the other end of the line that maybe had someone wander away, or they have a special condition that when law enforcement or the fire chief shows up, they need to know about, right? And that's what led to the special needs registry. A former academy classmate of mine, Shaun Murphy, over at the prosecutor's office, he started the special needs registry with then prosecutor Gramiccioni. And it's an actual special needs registry. You can go into that registry, put in all of your information, your loved one's name and address. So when there's a 911 call at that address, or there's an encounter with that name, we have that in the 911 center file. That's in the software. That is out in the officers at their software in their car. So that computer tells them, hey, you're going to a house with a special needs person in it, and this may be the condition that you encounter, right? And this, by the way, this may be the genesis to calm them down or to have some type of positive interaction. So the family members are able to enter all that in there. We have over 3,000 plus in the database here in the county, and we've had some very successful outcomes with those encounters.
Do we broadcast that to the schools as well? Is there communication? We have representatives from the schools here. Thank you so much for being here.
If you go to the prosecutor or sheriff's office website, or you just type in Monmouth County Special Needs Registry, right in there, you put the information in, and that will all make its way into the 911 software, and again, that will lead to positive outcomes. And then the other program that we have in the sheriff's office, Project Lifesaver. Project Lifesaver is a national program, but it's a tracking bracelet, much like a watch on the wrist, and it's meant for high-risk individuals that tend to wander away. A large part of our Project Lifesaver population are those special needs on the spectrum, apparently, and that tend to run away from home. And then we do have probably 20% of the population now are those with dementia in our senior community that tend to wander away. So we have over 200 bracelets out there that we maintain, and the staff does a tremendous job. And we've had all positive outcomes in tracking those individuals. I don't want to knock on wood, but we've had 100% success rate with Project Lifesaver in the county for tracking those that wander away from their loved ones.
Well, and you're also trustee of the Monmouth Ocean Foundation for Children. Can you speak to that a little bit? We do a tremendous amount of work with nonprofits, with the folks that are here from nonprofits. Can you speak to that foundation?
Well, I have
work
the honor of being on the board of the Shore Center. It's that Shore Center. We have 55 students on the spectrum. It's attached to the Monmouth Ocean Educational Services Commission over there in Tinton Falls. Been on the board over 10 years now. Tremendous work by those educators and staff in our facility with our 55 students. And there's others like that in Monmouth and Ocean County. But we have pretty much a cross-section of various school districts from throughout Monmouth and Ocean County that end up there. The challenge is aged out, right? Aged out autism. What do we do with those that aged out? And so Commissioner Arnone and myself and others on the board have led a charge. We are in the process of building an Achieve Academy. It's in over 21 aged out on the spectrum. High-functioning individuals that we want to be able to train for job placement in the field. And so we have a little bit still to go. We have an executive director. The school is being refurbished and fitted for job training. We anticipate some type of launch probably in the fall. And we have tremendous corporate partners that want to be a part of that job training and placement, and that's the important thing.
And if folks want to be part of that corporate partnership, how do they reach out to the office?
They just reach out to me and the director, and we'll make it happen. Trust me, we'll
keep
track
them
it
here
down.
after the meeting. Keep them after the meeting. You know, can you chat a little bit about another program that you're involved with, the Marine duty in the sheriff's
Well,
office?
it's summer kickoff, right? So we know Memorial Day weekend at the Jersey Shore is always special. Listen, it is one of the toughest times, I would say, for public safety between now and Labor Day, right? Tough times in many ways. Lifeguard and lifeguard shortages. The county commissioners and the sheriff's office did a really pilot program with Seagirt lifeguards at first, and now every lifeguard station along the coast is in what we call Safe Beach Day. So you can go to safebeachday.com, or you can go to the Monmouth County Tourism website, and we have the Safe Beach Day on there. And you just click on it, and that will give you like the hours of operation for the lifeguards. And please don't swim after hours, right? Our number one drowning incidents in the county all come before or after the lifeguards are off duty. So please don't do it. But that Safe Beach Day will allow you to look at all the conditions, whether there's red flags or green flags or yellow, whether the temperature of the water, rip tides, all of that. They all report in the different lifeguard stations. So tremendous job by Director Arnone and the commissioners in putting that together and bringing all our lifeguard communities together in that way so that the information is at your fingertips. So if you're a resident here in Monmouth County, you can easily access. More importantly, if you're a visitor, we want you to access Safe Beach Day Monmouth County, because that will tell you the conditions. And again, I'll give the warning. please do not swim if the lifeguards are not on duty, particularly with the rip currents that we experience up and down the Jersey Shore here. So that makes it challenging in and of itself. A lot of pedestrian, bicycle, and motorcycle traffic. We had some tragic incidents this Memorial Day weekend. I hate to say we were a little busy on the local level, but unfortunately we were. And we want people to be careful, particularly our residents and our visitors that are driving around. You have to watch out and be extra careful, proceed with caution, at least in those shore communities, because the pedestrian, bike, and now we have the e-bikes that run a little faster. So there's a lot of caution that needs to be exercised. And when it comes to boating, the same thing. We lost the Coast Guard station that was in Shark River, right? The Coast Guard had merged some stations and downsized. So how do you meet those challenges? Well, we in the county secured a port security grant money. You forget we have 3 ferry terminals. My brother takes the ferry most days up to New York City. And the county operates 3 ferry terminals. I mean, so C Street is a tenant there. But how do you protect the waterways, and how do you keep them safe? And that's what we do with Marine 1 and Marine 2 in the Sheriff's Office. Here again, with shared service and local PDs, we wouldn't be able to staff it individually. It would cost a lot of overtime. But what we do is we take law enforcement officers from the neighboring police departments on the water. So, for instance, Marine 2 down in Shark River, Belmar, Neptune, Avon, they're all participants. They all lend an officer on the Marine vessel with my sheriff's officer. They're familiar with the area, and certainly that helps out in staffing Marine 1 and Marine 2, because, again, the ultimate education is to, get to the public, tell them about safe boating, wear your life vest, and anyone under 13 has to have a life vest on. You obviously have to have enough life vests for everybody on the vessel. You can't be overweight on the vessel. All those kind of safety features that maybe our Marine police will just pull up alongside and do a safety check, and hopefully they don't detect any drinking and driving. Boating while intoxicated is the same thing as driving while intoxicated. Same laws apply, same standards apply. So please don't drink and boat, and make sure you have all the safety gear when you're out there. Our Marine vessels, along with local PD, will be out and about all summer long.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Right, the most folks in the summertime are worrying about what's going on the grill, or what are the vacations and all these other different things. But but safety it takes a team. It's teamwork. And quite accurately, you alluded to earlier with the commissioners. Shout out to Commissioner Director Tom Arnone and his team and all the work that they're doing in the county. We have team members here. Yes, thank you very much. Carolyn Burtnick, thank you so much for being here. It does take a team. And while folks are thinking about what the children's activities and summer programs and camps and different things like that, you have a total different set of lenses.
We do. Yeah.
So I'll invoke my school superintendent lenses that are looking at things in a totally different way, right?
We do. There are those challenges. Not from a public. Listen, we have a lot of concerts. We just had the Spring Lake 5, a record amount of people. I understand it was 13,000 runners. We had our whole EMS task force down there. A lot of security, as you can imagine, putting an event like that together. And so, listen, here's the thing. We don't want any of our residents to worry about safety, right? We're in the background planning for those events. We're already on to planning events like the See Here Now Festival and other things that will occur around the county. That's what we do, right? We make sure we have a plan. We make sure we have a team in place to address security issues. And some of those are planned events, and then other things like pop-up parties are not so planned, but we have already been in the background planning for those. So.
And what I want to talk about too is, and also planned by frankly darker forces, we had a fantastic podcast with Chris Smith recently. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Is the summer, is it spike and also for folks to have their eyes and ears on this topic of human trafficking? You recently were part of an incredible symposium. Your office does incredible work to help protect and save children that are part of human slavery right here in Monmouth County.
It goes on. I mean, listen, and I think I said at the symposium and the educational period, this is one of the most undetected, unspoken crimes, heinous, if you will. And again, one of the things was to put on a symposium every year like we do with autism, we do for human trafficking. Now, we could do it during Human Trafficking Week recognition. We don't because we felt it was more important to do that symposium every year in May before Memorial Day, and here's why. The symposium is not just for educator and nonprofits around the county to come to and learn more about human trafficking, how you can detect it, how you report it. We kind of say if we're gonna put on something like that, we're gonna lead by example as well, right? And so after that very symposium, I have a team of sheriff's officers that go to all the hotels and motels with the human trafficking educational material. Hopefully they're still on the front desk of those hotels and motels. Why? Because we do see this uptick in tourism. We do see this uptick in traffic. Obviously, the county, comparatively speaking, will grow 30% plus in residents and people during the summer season, right? All those hotels and motels, a lot of transient traffic. How do you identify people that are being trafficked or used for prostitution, right? And that's the message we try to get across with our hotel motel owners out there. Large or small, doesn't matter. We pay them a visit, make sure the general manager knows and how they can get more educational material and how they can try to detect those that are being trafficked, right? And so you have to do those things. We find it best to do it in May, right before that Memorial Day and the kickoff of the summer.
Thank you very much for that, Sheriff. And before we bring it back and we could open it up to a couple of questions, I wanted to bring it back to MedStar and then for you to bring us home for this meeting today to leave folks with the key items that you'd like to share so that they take with them today. But with MedStar, the programming itself for volunteer organizations as it grows, because it's in a certain geographic location now, for volunteer organizations that are interested in learning more as it expands, can you share a little more detail about how you're going to scale it,
so
the scaling
the
of it?
County is one thing about Monmouth County, it's a very large county, right? We have over 630,000 residents, 644 square miles, 14 train stations, 3 ferry terminals, over 328 schools. I'll go on. 27 miles of coastline. It's a challenge geographically and population-wise. So, one of the things we wanted to do is target that gap of response times, right, which has put us in the central region. And the commissioners are committed to doing this county-wide. We're going to help volunteers throughout the county, no matter what town you live in, from Allentown up to Keyport. By the way, if you drove it, it's like 48 minutes, right, to get one point of the county to the other. So it's a large county, and we're committed to covering the whole county. Can't do it overnight. 2 things, and we'll talk about the one that you touched on educationally, but you can't get rigs. Supply chain has made it somewhat difficult to secure ambulances. Now, we've done a pretty good job at buying and purchasing demos out there from various companies so that we can have the MedStar program up and running. We have a number of rigs on order in the pipeline. Those come due in September. So you'll see an expansion. We call it kind of a 2-year rollout here in the county. We in public safety take the county into 4 regions. They're not chamber regions, but they're north, central, south, and west, right? And so right now we're in the central area. In September, we'll be up in the Bay Shore and the north area up here come September. And then we'll grow down south, and the west will be the last targeted area. Again, it's an aggressive plan, but I will say the commissioners have been behind it. They want to help the volunteers. We want to make sure we assist the volunteers. And, we were licensed in 2.5 months. That's unheard of from the Department of Health. But we went through the licensing program, and we were able to secure our licensing and our Medicare and Medicaid numbers, everything that we needed to move forward. And again, inspections had to be done, hiring had to be done, and how do you get the best EMTs? That's our goal. Now, that leads us to the educational part, right? We want to be sure that in our VOTEC schools, we have those educational opportunities. And in Allied, whether we're talking about Allied Health, whether we're talking the ALPS program, Law and Public Safety in Long Branch, the ALPS program, we're fortunate. Dr. Ford and his staff do a tremendous job with the Monmouth VOTEC schools. I mean, we have some of the top schools in the country.
In the country, yes.
Biotech
Yep.
and high tech and Comtech. These are some of the top VOTEC schools in the
Absolutely,
nation, not
yes.
in New Jersey, in the nation. And so we want to keep that track record going with EMS. We want to be sure that we have that EMS vocation at a younger age in Allied Health and the ALPS programs throughout the county. And we want to build an EMS academy. We have a police academy, we have a fire academy. Here's where EMS is lacking in the state of New Jersey. There are no EMS academies. Pretty much EMTs are on their own to try to get to this type of program or do their CEUs over here or there. We want to bring that all under one roof. So whether you're a volunteer or whether you're part of the MedStar program or another paid program, we'll have an EMS academy that will track all that will have constant continuing education credits going, so it's convenient for those that are volunteering. Because
Monarch used to have a school like
yeah,
that.
they did, and so we're essentially going to spin that up, and we're going to have an EMS academy here.
That's fantastic. That'll help turbocharge the volunteer ranks.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. You have to have the volunteers and along with the paid, and that factor, and it all comes to communication. If they have a crew for the day in Tin Falls, we want them to answer the call.
Yeah.
If they don't, MedStar will be there to answer the
That's
call.
incredible. Thank you, Sheriff. In a few moments, the Sheriff is going to share some key points he wants you to be aware of as you leave today and as you get into your summer and a safe summer. And I hope you've been able to have a better understanding of the incredible amount of work that's done from an office, from the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office. Just amazing. So, Jeannie, if we can open it up we have time for a couple quick questions,
Sure.
and then
I
the
think we
Sheriff
have a
will
question over
bring us
here.
home.
And also, Christine Cardinelli joined us from Signs and Awnings. So anyone that...
Christine, welcome.
Yes, and they created a lot of the signs in and around Bellworks. So they make any type of sign. She's here. All right. First question.
Thank you, Sheriff, for your time today. How can students my age get involved by helping keep our communities safe?
Yeah, I will tell you, our future does look bright. I see Matt and a bunch of other students here today, so it is looking bright. How can you get involved? This is what I always say. It doesn't have to be public safety related, right? You just need to be involved in your community, whether that is just volunteering to coach some kids or volunteering at a food pantry or one of the great organizations that we have in the county that help those in need. Those are the way to get involved. From a public safety standpoint, listen, I always tell students, learn CPR and learn to work that automatic defibrillator, right? Those are the things that you can do. And then obviously be aware of your surroundings. But if you're a student in a high school, CPR and AED, that's what we want you to learn because again, like we said and like we know from our volunteer days, it is critical to land that defib within minutes of that cardiac arrest. So thank you for that.
Great question. Thank you. Hello, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much for all of your insights for Monmouth County. So I predominantly work in the geriatric community, so very similar to autism, and I have a lot of dementia, Alzheimer's, traumatic brain injuries that I see.
Sure.
My question is, are the police officers trained in dealing with that situation?
They
also?
They are. That's part of the training they go through in the academy, and that interaction and training has expanded. Right. One thing that has come from all these directives and training requirements are that kind of an interaction engagement with special needs and with those populations. So the answer is yes, they do receive the training, and our officers have been back for retraining, if you will, at the police academy, and they receive it too. So it's a great question. Again, Project Lifesaver is targeted at those that wander away. In those enclosed facilities, not so much, right, because they're supervised 24/7. But that is definitely part of the programming.
Hi, thank you for your time today. And I was just wondering, how'd you like come up with the idea or approve the idea of the STARS facility?
The STARS facility. So here's how to turn something into something worthwhile, right? The STARS facility was our old juvenile detention center. Now, juvenile detention that's a whole nother. We can have a whole podcast on juvenile detention and rehabilitation.
All students must stay behind for this presentation.
Yeah. That's a whole podcast. But here's what we did. When I first became sheriff, we closed the youth detention center, right? We closed it because the taxpayers were paying at the time $570,000 a year. I'm sorry, $5.7 million a year. Yeah, for 13 individuals that were in the youth detention center. Do the math on that one, right? So that was a non-starter for us and our administration when we came in. So we closed it. So it was mothballed for a while. But here was the thing: it was set up like a school. And after we saw, obviously, with Columbine and Newtown and Parkland, what better way to have a training facility than a facility that's set up? If you go in there, it's classrooms, offices, gym, cafeteria, right? So we ended up making that a situational and training awareness facility, a response facility. And that's where the name STARS comes from, situational awareness and response scenarios. And we do a lot of scenario training. Now we have since expanded. Our canine training center is up there. Our special ops teams, our fire departments use it for training. Our EMS task force uses it for training and active shooters. So it really has become this center. It's a good use of the commissioner's dollars in the sense that it was a mothballed facility, right? And was sitting there. And it was either sell it or use it. And our commissioners opted to use it. And it really is a one-of-a-kind facility in the state of New Jersey. To give you an idea, we've had over 72 outside agencies, not just our 47 police departments in the county, but 72 outside agencies from around the state of New Jersey trained in that center.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now we're going to hear from Therese, the Executive Director of the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, who makes it all happen.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all that you do.
First of all, I want to give a shout out to the Walls. They always bring great programs here to Bellworks for our ChamberCast every single month. So let's give it up for
I'll
Jeannie and
second
Terrence.
that. I call it AJ, all Jeannie. Thank you, honey.
So thank you, Sheriff Golden, for being here, because I really had an idea of what the sheriff's office did. I did not realize you did so much. My idea of a sheriff is Andy Griffith. So we've come a long way.
We've come a long way. Yeah, certainly have.
So thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So just want to say a couple things. We have some big events coming up. We have our golf outing. I put some flyers out here. If you don't golf, you can come to dinner and network with us. We are raising money for Coastal Habitat of Humanity in Asbury Park for that event on June 11th. So come and have some fun. If you golf, we'd love to see you there as well. And then the next big event you mentioned was Beacon in end of July, where we're recognizing such great honorees this year. I can only say go to our website and just see the great things that we're doing. So, and I want to thank everybody for being here and remembering that today was not Monday but Tuesday after the holiday weekend. So thank you
to the Chamber.
Yeah, thank you. And really, all of you who are here today, you're part and parcel of the success of the organization and all the work even of the Sheriff's Office. I also want to give a shout out to Ralph Zucker, the visionary with Inspired Development and all the incredible work they're doing here in New Jersey and in Chicago and other areas. Really, it's an honor to know the folks that are part of this program here.
It's amazing to watch the revitalization here at Bellworks. I went to high school at St. John Vianney just down the road, and it's tremendous to watch.
It's incredible, right? So now you're right here local this morning. So Sheriff Golden, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And can you bring us home with some key points that you want folks to leave with? And then we're going to wrap it up.
All right. So listen, here's what I would say. Situational awareness is the key for anything, right? No matter where you are, even walking in this building, you should have noted some of the exits and entrances, and you should have noted if they had defibrillators, access, and all those kind of things. That's what you can do as a good civic person, right, is to help out in a time of disaster and in a time of need and when there's an emergency, right? And you can do those things by staying calm, knowing how to access the 911 system, knowing what to say. You know, one of our first questions, sometimes you see it on TV and it says 911, what's your emergency? No. We say 911, where's your emergency? We want the location first. We want to confirm the location first. We'll get to the other stuff, but we want to make sure we pinpoint that location first. And just knowing that off the top of your head is dial 911 and you say, oh, I'm at an accident scene. No. Say where you're at first, and then you're at an accident scene. That will help. That few seconds could save a life, right? And so we want all our individuals to be there. And then again, when you're driving out there, particularly during the summer season here, please be alert, adhere to the speed limits, even use caution in a lot of those areas, because we see so many bicycle and pedestrian tragedies that occur along the Jersey Shore here during the season. So, just take that message and home with you. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And oftentimes the words thank you are part of our kind of social graces between folks. But I want to say on behalf of the Chamber and all the citizens that are watching this today or tomorrow, I want to say thank you.
No, listen,
The work
I
matters.
want to just say it's thank you to all the public safety employees. Listen, my job as the executive and the commissioners, we just give them the tools and the training. They're the ones that act every day, day in and day out, with such heroism, and it's incredible to see. So I want to thank them all.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Shaun Golden, thank you very much.
Holmdel Funeral Home.
And our sponsor, of course, Bill Bolio and the Bolio family of companies, Woolley Bolio Funeral Home in Long Branch and Holmdel Funeral Home right here in Holmdel, community makers. Thank you, and thank you, everyone, for being here today. We appreciate your time.